All right, Bart, let's freak people out with some of the connections we have here on No Way Out. So let me begin.
You got it,
We've
brother.
had some folks come on and talk about perceptual control theory, ecological dynamics, and how that differs from things like predictive processing, Bayesian brain. What am I saying? Well, if you look at the OODA loop, action drives perception. That's people are saying that's actually how things work. I'm okay with
Okay.
that. That's just one view of it. It's one perspective. Others are saying that we have this orientation or this world model that drives our or creates our predictions. It generates predictions, and we minimize free energy and things like that. That's fine. They both live together. That's awesome. I don't think there's a right or wrong camp. I just think they're all chasing John Boyd, which is awesome. There's also some ideas out there that geometry drives a lot of behavior. So music, the reason we like music or we find some types of music comforting is because of the geometry in it. And then same thing with beauty, our faces. By the way, you're pretty ugly, and I have a face for radio myself. So the geometry of us, we weren't blessed by geometry, that's for sure. We got the short end of the stick on that one, but the idea that the market is a consciousness, a collective consciousness that is a flow system. It's a complex adaptive system, just like humans are, just like the universe is. That would tell us that there's some geometry in there. And we know that some folks are using stochastics or using Mandelbrot's work to understand the market. We think there's something bigger. And I want you to share out what you share with me, but I want everybody to know this strangeness that you discovered. What do you got?
Absolutely, Punch. Thanks, man. So I've been studying this for 24 years, and it's been a little bit of a rabbit hole, but ultimately, there was something that was telling me the market stops at a number for a reason. And so, you dive down into any number of subjects, mostly around the Hermetica. So one of the major concepts with regards to technical analysis and maybe into the more forward leaning, like they're not, coincident or they're not lagging, but they're leading indicators. That'll ultimately get you to Fibonacci, which is, growth and retracement. It'll also get you the sacred geometry and everything. But the most important concept is this whole concept of a square route, so that the market will inflect, whether it's up or down, when price and time are harmonic. What we've had is the first time ever for the New York Stock Exchange Index, which is 2,500, I think. It's 2,000 plus stocks that are traded on the New York Stock Exchange Index. We have exactly equaled the calendar days over, equal to the number of price points up, which we're going to show. But more importantly, we did it on the Dow, which is probably the most important stock index out there in the world. Everybody knows it. So from the all-time low of 1896 and 0808, we scored that out. And also the inception, which was May 26, 1896. So let me just show you what's going on here. And then, we can have your audience just try to figure this out. So, what we have here, and you can see this okay, Punch?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, and so what we have here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average monthly chart. So each one of these candles is a month. And we have here the inception dates. And again, this is from August 31st. October 31st. And so here's the inception date, and here's the all-time low, and here's the number of calendar days. And what struck me was that was basically the price point of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So we have squared out. So on this bottom line, it's gone 47,274 calendar days over and exactly 47,274 days up. So picture that from a geometric perspective as a perfect bisecting of the square. What do we mean by that? Well, we're right here. This is us right here.
Mm-hmm.
So the number of calendar days is equal to the number of price points up. That's a perfect 45-degree angle. That should be major resistance. But not only that, we've got this major price projection that hit to the T. Then we have this orange price projection that hit to the T. And what I want us to look at here is, why did I use this point? Well, look at the perfect Fibonacci symmetry of this high in 2020. It's perfect. So what I did was I went from here to here to find it, and then I projected up. But what's more important, the reason I had a good node was, look at this 0.618 price projection. It's exact support after the big Trump tariff craziness. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So we know we have good nodes. And this is a major price projection. But more importantly, we've squared out, for the first time ever, the number of calendar days equal to the number of price points up. But then not only do we have the Dow Jones, but we also have the New York Stock Exchange Index. Same picture. And as we can see here, we've gone over 21,823 calendar days, and we went up 21,823 points, and that was the all-time high. Isn't that crazy? We have a 1.618 price projection, and we also have a nice ABCD or equality price projection. So from a standpoint of just being, what does this mean? Well, I think we've hit major resistance in the markets, and we should expect a pullback. Is this a major top? Could be. I don't know. I don't necessarily think so, but I think a 10 to 15% price projection or correction is on the way. What's more important for us to think about is, why is this working? Mm-hmm. All right, there's no fundamentals here. There's nothing. It's all pure geometry and math. And somehow, again, if we look at the collective consciousness that's trading all of the stocks, the New York Stock Exchange Index monthly, it's completed its perfect square out, and it respected it. So what's going on? Why does this work? I had to take 24 years, but being able to see this happen in real time, and I'll even go down to like an hourly chart for us real quick so you can see it. I mean, everybody in the world's trading the New York Stock Exchange Index, and it hit it exactly. Isn't that nuts?
That's crazy.
It's no way out.
Yep.
So I just wanted to throw it out there that we've had some pretty major geometry come into the markets, and no way out's the ones telling them. This is a square out from the inception date of the Dow. Wow, and it worked so far. We'll see what happens.
So I just want to share a few thoughts here.
Please.
What I've been doing has been taking a lot of information from Hedgeye, which they're using fractal geometry.
Unbelievable guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're using, and then I overlay that with your information, and I'll give you a couple examples. Tesla around 300, 315 was you showed as a buy. I bought at that time. They were bearish on it, and then it ripped up to 450 or 440 where it is right now. And I mean, that was based off of geometry. You also and then you also gave me a target on Bitcoin a while ago, and we were targeting at around 120 or somewhere in there. I don't have the exact numbers, but you also had a pullback to about 83,000. And I couldn't believe that when you said, "Hey, look, this is going to go."
I remember.
Yeah, and guess where it's heading to? It looks like it might head down that at 83.
Yeah.
So I got out of that when it topped, but because I had a map, right? Because I followed that map and said, well, that's where that attractor is, or those nodes are, based off of the geometry, and I don't have to think about it, right? I'm like, well, that's what the geometry is saying. Let's just play that.
Yeah.
And am I bought in 100%? About, like you say, 51.49. That's all you need. That's all you need to be successful with.
Absolutely.
In Vegas, but having a map is not a bad thing. And I think what you have and marrying that up.
We have.
Yeah, and marrying that up with the latest and greatest of AI that's going to dominate everything, not just the market, but anything from anywhere there's geometry, which includes the human body, right?
Absolutely.
Medical and all that. So this is why this is so critical. And I think when we look back at this in 5 years, people are going to laugh at us between now and then, but they're going to look back and go, hey, these guys are maybe onto something. But we're not the only ones, by the way. This is not...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And our big thing, Ponch, as we work through it, and we've talked about it, is we collectively, right, the No Way Out crew, we can find good inflection points from price. Yeah. And most of the time, they will find support or resistance for a little bit, or they are, and it's all patterns. So it's not like we're trying to, air quote, pick a top or pick a bottom. Yeah. It's just the pattern. It'll work or it won't. And inherently, with these maps that these patterns develop, you end up being kind of contrarian, because when everyone's like screaming bullish, you're like, I don't know, but I see a square out coming on the New York Stock Exchange Index that might work. You never know. So it's just a great way to manage risk. But one thing that, quite frankly, I've gotten lazy at is this whole concept of time. And so I think that, in the near future, there's going to be some very, very smart computers that if we can teach it time, we might be pretty onto something here.
Okay, we got about another 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and
Sure.
let's see if we can get let's freak people out now. So three eye atlas. Let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
we have a theory that ancient civilizations here on Earth or wherever we're sending message to ourselves. In fact, I'd say that cymatics, which is vibration inside of things, we won't get into cymatics, and maybe we can explain that some other time. But geometry exists for a reason, and what we are doing is sending notes to our future selves. Doesn't mean you and I existed 10,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. But
Yeah.
maybe there aren't there are no aliens out there. It's just our previous selves trying to communicate with our future selves. And the way we're going to do that, because data gets corrupted, is through geometry, right? So
Yes.
cymatics, music, and all that. So three eye atlas, go.
Three Eye Atlas. No idea what it is or what it isn't, but there are some pretty interesting mathematical relationships that we just got to talk about. One, three eyes is the third eye. Two, it's going to 137,000 miles per hour. Well, 137 is defined structure constant, governs the interaction of light and gravity. If you take the perihelion, which is the closest point of approach to the sun of Three Eye Atlas, in astronomical units and divide it by the location of the Earth at that point in astronomical units, you get exactly 137, fine structure constant. If you take a look at at least for now, the all-time high in the Dow was the day of perihelion of Three Eye Atlas. And oh, by the way, it's sending out a signal every 47 seconds. I don't know what that means, but ultimately the Dow basically topped at 47,000. It's like 47,800 on close or something, right? It's nuts. And then President Trump's the 47th president. So I don't know, but it really blows you away. And again, I just want someone to prove whether this is actually happening or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
5149. But the signals it's sending out is part of the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah.
So it could be a comet, could not be, I don't know, but things are getting awful interesting. And as my buddy Punch likes to say, there's something going on.
Yep, there's something going on. Hey, thanks, Bart. This has been awesome. We'll
You got
put
it,
this
brother.
out
Thank
there
you.
and then we'll see what happens. All right. Cheers.
All right, dude. See you, man.